It kind of doesn't matter. There we go. Greetings all. I haven't done a video in a while. But what I want to talk about, what's been on my mind lately, is a project that I'm working on. It's directly related to, well, not directly related to, but along the same vein as the ADOS movement and the wealth gap and things like that. And what I'm doing is driving in rush hour traffic. So that's the impatience of the people behind me, but they're gonna have to wait. What I've been thinking about lately is what strategies could we use now, because and I'm so thankful to Dr. Sandy Darity, whose names his name doesn't get mentioned enough, but Dr. Sandy Darity is the person that is everybody has their role. So he's a professor at Georgetown, I believe, and he's the one that kind of put the data together for Antonio Moore and who's done his own research, and Yvette Carnell. But they've done all their research. These are learned people, lawyers and doctors. They've collated the data, cataloged the data, which provides the basis of this movement. But thank goodness for those people, man, because I mean they have really awakened a sleeping giant. They have provided the ammunition, man, the unquestionable ammunition to get this movement going, to wake people up to what we need to do. So anyway, along the same vein, what I'm thinking about, with the project that I'm working on now, is what can we do now? What can a person do now? Because every now that this giant has been awakened, every black person, ADOS person, can start thinking towards, we got reparations, and there's a whole list of things on the black agenda that we need that we're fighting for. We understand that this is not an overnight thing. This is a battle. This is a war that's going to go on. But you can see the tangibles already. Okay, but what can we do in the meantime? Now, and I'm working on a project now, which I know that you can do things now to create generational wealth. You can do things to combat the wealth gap. There's strategic moves that you can make, while they have all these barriers, which are true. We know they're true because there's laws that have held us back. There's legislation that targeted ADOS. We know that for a fact. It's unquestionable. Like Martin Luther King said, you give all these in that speech, which they don't play that much. This one was like, he provided all this money and support for all these white farmers, and gave them land, and had them come over from Europe, do all this stuff. Then turn around and tell us, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, do it on your own. Look at what we accomplished. So we know the game. We know the game. So, in the same token, there are things that we can do in the meantime. And that's the project that I'm working on, which is for my family to close that gap in the meantime, while we're waiting on these things, while we're fighting for these other things. In my family, myself and my daughters and my son-in-laws, I have a vision to where I can take actions now that make it easier down the line for my children and grandchildren. Like I said, my children, my children are grown, but they're dealing with the day-to-day with the kids, but Pop is going to work the vision. You know what I mean? Just briefly, some things I'm looking at doing. We have a family bank that's already started, which we're pulling money together to help for education, for I got stuck on this line, for education, for any kind of issue that comes up where a family member needs money or support or something like that. There's a fund available for them. Now, of course, they have to basically borrow and put it back, but instead of having to go to a bank and fill out forms and get denied or whatever, with this fund, they'll be able to borrow from family. Okay, come up with a certain amount per month that they pay you, build it up over the years, and you have a substantial amount of money. The other part is family land. Now, everybody's rushing to the city. I'm from Philly, and everybody's rushing to Philly. I mean, they're building the downtown, they're encouraging all this building, and everybody's concentrating in it, which is crazy to me. But what about farmland? What about land and growing things and looking at the future, looking at how different crops, other than food, because the government is jamming farmers up on the food, but there's other industrial crops that are available that are relatively easy to maintain and don't require going to Monsanto and buying seeds and all the stuff like that. You have natural things that can be used for industry, and you can do that. What about getting land, building your own home on it, and not having a mortgage, and having a place where your children and grandchildren can always go and stay and build up if they need to build up money or stay there or whatever. These are the ideas I have, and I'm going to start a series and keep up with videos on that thing. But we're at almost 8 minutes, and I kind of like to keep my videos short because it's easier to digest little bits at a time versus doing hour-long videos and 2 hours and things like that. And I like to kind of really get to the point. And hopefully I didn't drag this one out, but for all who have watched, I appreciate you taking your time out to watch my video, and have a great day. Stay tuned for others.